Welcome everybody
We
back to the
are
Prep1 Podcast.
back. What is up, Prep1 world? Look who's
What's
back.
up? I know, right? It's gonna sing that song like "Guess Who's Back?" Back
This is
again.
back.
Rhino's back. Not just
Right.
kidding. No, but obviously it's really great to be back. There's been a lot of things over the past couple of weeks. I was out of town.
Mhm.
Even this past weekend, I was going through COVID, so had a lot
Yeah.
of stuff I was dealing with. And today, it's like a special episode because we're filming live. Well, I'm filming live at
Live.
location from the Village Inn. So,
Ooh,
that's
so
that's another
fancy.
one, right? But so like if you guys hear background noise and stuff, it's only so much I can do because of that. But we're gonna make do with the podcast and we're gonna do what we can.
Yes, sir. Because we need to get this out to you all, and we didn't get it out last week due to some unforeseen circumstances. But we are back for episode 11, and it
And
is playoff week.
yeah, man, a lot's happened, man. I mean, you've had
Crazy.
volleyball playoffs finish, you've had the
Mhm,
cross country state championships already done.
mhm.
Football playoffs are about to begin and basketball has already started. So there's a lot of
Yes.
things that we really need to go
So,
over.
a
I mean,
lot to get done here.
I guess let's start off with, keep kind of at least the flow the same. What can you
Yeah.
tell me about cross country, man?
Alright,
What were the results?
so
How did state go for them?
it was pretty good. It was great,
Okay.
it was awesome, we showed out. Unfortunately, may not have gone the way some people might have hoped, but we still got a lot of showing, we still got a lot of great things that happened in the cross country world, just like they have been happening all year long. So, let's just jump right into it. In the girls 3A, we had a one lone survivor, one lone star coming out of Tornillo, Kylene Elias. Okay,
Okay.
she got fifth at regionals, and she was the only one out of the girls 3A to qualify for state. So big props to her at state. She ended up getting the top 25 finish. She ended up finishing at 22 at
Okay,
22nd place
that's
at state. So she
not
had a
bad.
good showing being the lone girl out of 3A. Keeping with the girls, 5A, unfortunately, 4A, we didn't really get anything, but in 5A, this one was kind of weird, a little bit weird. So it was a good competition at regionals. We had two girls that competed very well against each other. They got top 25 finishes at regionals. You had Natalie Rivera out of Canotillo. She finished 22nd. And then Gianni Correa out of Chapin finished 23rd. Names we've heard all year long.
Hmm.
Here's where it's great and then also gets weird. The great part is, and unfortunate for Gianni Correa, Rivera beat her by 1 second and qualified for state.
Well, I was looking through some stats and
Yeah.
really kind of shows, you got to give it every single time and keep working on it all
Oh,
year
yeah.
long. I saw, and I know you're not at it yet, but I saw at the boys 3A division, one of the people that we were praising all year long, was,
Hmm. Yeah.
Daniel Romero. And
And
uh,
it got,
if I'm
yep.
correct, the last like 2 or 3 meets, he came in second to one of his teammates. No,
Yep.
so that
So
that just
yeah,
goes to show you. I mean,
it changes,
if
and especially they're doing. I mean, it's just like in the other sports we talked about, Ryan. It's talked about with football and with basketball and with volleyball. This is one of those sports where you get to compete against your own teammates, and you gotta really, really compete. But also, just like in the other sports, where competing in your district is what really matters at the end to get you into the playoffs. Here, it's really competing at district and at regionals that really gets you into that next level. So, if you're able to beat out your star teammate at districts and at regionals, and then going on to state, you got
yeah,
to do
that's
what
when
you
you
got to do, and that's what you got to do. You got to SBG. What do we always say? SBG.
show up, ball out, get noticed. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So right here, what happened here? Like I said, Natalie Rivera beat Correa out of Chapin by 1 second. Literally, it was 20 minutes point seven for Rivera, and then 20 minutes 1 second point four for Correa. Now Rivera did qualify, but she did not compete at state. I even looked into it. I looked into the results. Her name never popped up, so I don't know if she got hurt. I don't know if she just couldn't make the trip. I don't know what happened there, but she did not compete at state. But she did qualify,
Hmm.
so I am giving her a shout out because she did qualify for state, and she was the lone 5A girl out of El Paso that did qualify.
And for any of you listeners, comment down below or leave a comment. Let us know
Mhm.
what was going on, why she didn't
Yeah,
compete in
we would like to
state.
know, but we would like to know that. But like, I did feel I needed to get her name out there because she did, put that effort and that hard work, and she busted her ass to get to this point. For it to unfortunately end that way, I don't, I'm not sure, but that's what happened. Now in the 6A girls, we had a little bit more competition here. We had Adeline Rodriguez out of Eastwood in regional. She got 12th place. Okay.
Okay.
And then we had some Franklin girls behind her come in and qualify, but they didn't qualify based off the positioning. As a team, they won the bronze medal at regional. So big shout out to Franklin girls who have been doing big things all year long. They got third place at regionals. They won the bronze medal as a team. And then Rodriguez, along with the Franklin girls team, move on to state. At state, unfortunately, Rodriguez kind of didn't really get there, and she got 43rd at state, but that's still top 50 finish, and that's really good in cross country. So
Mhm.
that's really, really great for her. So congratulations. And Franklin overall as a team finished 7th at state. So
Oh
they came
wow.
up just a little bit short, but guess what? When you're competing with all the top dogs, hey, top 10 finish, that just tells me you
Yeah, I
finished
mean,
7th in the state.
seventh best program in the state.
Mhm.
That's nothing to be ashamed
Yes,
about.
sir.
Yeah,
So
good for them. Shout
congrats
out to
to
them.
all our girls cross country. I look forward to following you all in the track and field season. That's the great thing about cross country, Ryan, is that they're still not done.
Yeah, and you know
Their
what?
cross country
To you
season is
seniors,
over.
to you seniors,
Yeah.
that are looking to play, go at the next level. I know we already got some kids like um, oh my God, correct me, the one from Coronado.
Luis Pastor,
Yeah, Pastor. He's already got his commitment to was it Oklahoma State? And
Oklahoma
then
State. Mhm.
yeah, so all you guys, that are gonna commit, doesn't matter what level and stuff, congrats to you
Mhm.
all. I'm assuming you probably got another one that's probably gonna commit, Omer Ibrahim. I mean, he's had a stellar year, so
Yes.
I
Uh-huh.
don't know if he's
He
already
should. Oh
committed, but
yeah.
I would expect him to be getting some big offers sometime
You
soon.
know, and the thing about it, Ryan, like I said, a lot of these kids, they're not done. With
Oh
football,
yeah.
with basketball, with all that, it's like, okay, they're one season and you're done. The cool thing about cross country is they got track and field to look forward to. We're gonna see all these names again in track and field in the mile, the 2 mile, the 30, the
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 32
four by
mile. No,
four,
I'm just kidding.
the 32 mile, the 4x4. All these long distance events. They're gonna be competing in these. So that's what's gonna be great to see is all of these, you know, uh, athletes continuing into the spring, and they still are able to get even more. If they don't get an offer right now, or they haven't really made up their mind, they
Hmm.
get to make up their mind a little more. And it doesn't have to be in cross country. It could be I mean, you and I have seen it before, where there's a guy, getting looked at for track and field, but then they tell him, hey, we don't got a spot on our track and field team, but you did pretty decent in cross country and you're doing great in track and field. We want you on our cross country team. And then boom, you're at Houston. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's like, kids like that. Moving forward on to our boys. This is where it gets pretty
Yeah, let's go,
exciting here. We had a
boys.
little more show out here. Boys in the
Hmm.
3A Tornillo as a team in the regionals, they finished sixth. So they just missed out
Okay.
on going to state as a whole. I seriously was surprised at that. I thought as a team they would make it, but it's
Our
not.
boys took it. They took off, right? They
It's
went.
not. Huh?
Our boys, Daniel and sorry, what's
Oh,
his name?
Angel. Oh
Angel.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Angel, Daniel, and Brian out of Tornillo end up qualifying for state. Angel Torres gets silver at regionals, and Daniel Romero gets third at regionals, gets the bronze medal, whereas their teammate Brian Castañeda gets 14th at regionals. They all did qualify for state, and they went and competed. And out of the three, you had the best one coming out on top was Angel Torres getting fourth place at
All
state.
right.
Just missed out on a medal there, but I believe he does still get recognition for being top five. Hey, you're the one of the top five runners in the state, so that's great right there. Daniel Romero unfortunately did not have a great showing, but again, he did great, 55th place, and Brian had 63rd in state.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not everybody. It's always not your day, but sometimes you got to
Mm,
show up for those biggest moments, and that's really where it counts. So it's unfortunate for Daniel Romero. He was having such a stellar season, and it's kind of unfortunate that it kind of ended the way it did for him. But you
yeah.
got to give a shout out, to his teammates and stuff. They did what they got to
Hmm.
do, and a fourth place finish. Hell yeah, man! Can't complain about that. That's awesome. Congrats to Tornillo out there.
Hell yeah.
That's a lot said too, especially for things going on within their program. I mean, like the football team, they couldn't even finish out
Mhm.
their season because they didn't have enough players and stuff out there.
Exactly.
So
They had to
you know,
forfeit.
yeah. So athletics is one of those hard things to come by out there. So the fact that at least cross country is able to get some recognition and do things
Mhm.
that says a lot. That's awesome.
And again, this says nothing because they are still able to redeem themselves in the spring. So that again, I'm gonna repeat myself on that and touch on that is that they all these guys and girls they get a second chance. So that's
Hmm.
what's the best thing. Moving on to the 4A division, our defending state champs. Yes, defending state champs, San Elisario Eagles. I was double guessing myself there. They go out there, they ball out, and they get third at regional. They get the bronze medal. They get
All
third. So
right.
I thought they would take regional, but unfortunately they didn't. But still, hey, they medaled. They got third. They head on to state as a team. Then we had out of Harmony, Jesus Herrera, the lone other runner not from Sanelli,
Hmm.
makes it to state, gets 12th at regional. But the big story here out of Sanelli, their two leaders, Julian Guerrera gets sixth place,
All right.
and your gold medalist out of the region, you had Chris Moreno. We've talked about him all year. He got the region. He's your regional champion. He's your gold medalist out of the region one. Goes to state as a gold medalist already. Big congrats to him. The going out to state, Julian ends up getting 28th,
Not
and
bad.
Chris Moreno ends up getting 6th.
Okay.
Fortunately,
Good
did
for.
not get that individual medal, but as a team, they did get a medal. They did not defend their championship, but they got the bronze medal. The San Elisario Eagles are your bronze
Hey.
medalists. They take third place in state this year. So big congrats to those
Hey,
guys.
top
That
top
program is
three
just,
finish, top three finish 2 years in a row.
oh,
You
yeah.
gotta.
Hey, that's a powerhouse
Hmm.
program making big noise for the El Paso
Yeah,
area.
great thing. Shout
So,
out to this county
oh,
school.
yeah.
Shout out to the San Nazario Eagles. Good for
Oh,
them.
hell yeah. Hell yeah. Moving on to the 5A round, we had three boys move on to state. You had Leo Valenzuela, who got 17th at regional, 80th in state out of El Paso High School. Miles Restbrook, also of El Paso High School, got 14th at regionals, 53rd at state. And then Alejandro Tarin out of Hanks. He is your bronze medalist out of Region 1. He's your
Okay.
third place winner out of Hanks, and he gets 14th at state. One other thing of note, this was Alejandro's fourth trip to state. So he went as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and capped
Four-time
off
state
his
attending.
senior year at state.
Not
So
bad. Good for him.
big
Good
things
career.
looking for that kid right there. Uh, one more 6A. Now here is our big one. 6A, you had Franklin as a team getting fourth at regionals. All those boys move on and they match up with the girls and they end up getting seventh at state. as well. So top 7 finish as a team. So shout out to
Good
Franklin.
consistency overall to their whole
They
program.
so well hopefully next year they continue it and build on this. Omer Ibrahim, you mentioned him before. He was your bronze medalist out of region. Yeah, the regionals, he got third and he also got fifth at state. So
All
that was
right.
big, big, big out of Pebble Hills, Omer Ibrahim.
And how did
And
Pastor do?
now the big name you were talking about was Luis Pastor, who was your regional champion. He got first place, gold medalist, went to state as a regional champion. Unfortunately, he got beat out by Omer Ibrahim at state. So it was a flip flop at
Mm,
state, and he got 10th. So we got two top 10
wow.
finishers there, which was great. But that just shows you how just from one
You
week
know
to
how
the next.
close they are, how back and forth. That's
Uh-huh.
crazy. That's awesome though.
But
Love the
again,
competition.
we get to see these guys once again. I'm hoping
I
during the
mean,
track and field
that's
season.
that's two
And
D1
yeah,
athletes going head to
oh
head
yeah.
there, man. That's great.
So that'd be good. And then maybe I don't know. Come track and field season in February, March, maybe one of those times I'll stop by, be able to check out these. Since it won't be competing one on one with another sport, I'll be able to go check
Mhm.
out some of these boys in action, some of these girls in action. But now a little more centrally located on a track instead of running literally cross country all the way out in the ditches of East El Paso and
Yeah,
out in
get your
the
feet a little
freaking
get your feet a little bit better when it's all said
exactly,
and done.
get to sit up in the stands and kind of, admire the skill and the competition up
Mhm.
close. But once again, that is the end of the 2022 cross country season. Big congrats to all of these athletes. Big shout out to all your champions in the
You
region, district champions, state. Unfortunately, we did not get a chance. We got a medalist. We got the San Elisario boys. And I'm just looking forward to a great, great 23 season. And looking forward to those track and field.
and like I said, it's kind of cool because it's a little bit of a milestone for us too because
Mhm.
it marks the end of our first sport. The first sport that
No kidding. Yeah.
yeah, like that we've covered, I guess, from season to end. So that's great.
And and I believe I mean I don't know about you, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for you. But this is the first time I've ever followed cross country from beginning to end.
You know what?
Unfortunately,
That's it's
and
so
now
true
I'm a
because
freaking advocate for it.
it's funny because it's so true. Like in doing this sport, I have become so much more educated on one rules, the way some of these sports
Yeah.
work.
Mhm.
Players, athletes, programs. So
Yeah.
it's really good. And if the little recognition we give, could you imagine how much of a light it gives to these people and individuals?
Oh
So.
yeah, definitely. And just like you said, I mean, I do know like you in high school, you didn't do track and field like I did. And I
Mhm,
thought it was the same scoring system. I thought it was the same thing, and it was not completely different, but it was pretty different. The
mhm.
way it was scoring, and I had no idea. I would have never guessed that you would score it like golf, lowest score wins.
Mhm.
So like that was pretty interesting to learn all these little things about it. But hey, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to learn about these sports that don't get the same recognition that football and basketball do, and to really put it out there. And I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a little milestone, end of a end of our first sport, but
Mhm. And it's funny, man.
something to look
Before we go
forward
on to
to.
the next stuff, like
Yeah.
it's so funny here because I feel like a news reporter. I got notes up the wazoo just because it's been so many weeks that we've been covering that we haven't covered. So
Yeah.
there's so many like players and things and rankings and stuff that we need to get notes on. And uh, but we'll get into the next sport, which is going to be high school volleyball. And right there you can see our sponsors. Our volleyball segment is going to be sponsored by Remine Lerma Photography and Homegrown Photography by Bridget Armendariz. Okay, so
Yes,
shout out
sir.
to our sponsors for the Prep1 podcast and for the volleyball segment. Now, before we get really into it, because there's not going to be a whole lot of slides, because at this point in time, there's only one team still competing. But You got
Mhm.
to give a shout out to the teams, and I know you have the notes too, so you can even see like
Oh yeah.
what we had. We had a lot of teams. Obviously, they did the by district rounds and stuff, and they got by first opponents. But where it seems to be the entire county for the most part kind of met their ends when they got
Mhm.
to the area round of the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
in Class 4A, you had Monahans defeating San Elizario, and
Mhm.
that was a sweep. Um, Kenyon Randall defeated Fabens, and that was also a sweep, 3 sets
Yeah.
to none. And again, it's nothing against these ladies. They've worked hard,
Mhm.
but it's just, playoffs is a whole different ball game.
Oh yeah. And
You
then
know,
once you get
that,
and one thing also, Ryan, I mean, just in
hmm
any sport, a big thing for El Paso teams is they seem to always in the past, they used to be always you get past that first round because you were competing against each other for the most part,
yep.
or a
hmm
team just down the road that you can compete against. And then the second round is where everyone hit a wall. We're starting to see a lot more people make it third, fourth round in these sports
hmm
and do good. And it's just great to see all these teams that actually made
Right.
it to the area round.
And unfortunately, for Class 6A, they don't get that luxury for 5A and
Yes.
4A. Still
Mhm.
get the chance in volleyball, at least they still get the chance to compete against
Mhm.
crosstown rivals in the
Mhm.
crosstown districts for 4A and 5A. 6A immediately has to go out of
Oh
town.
yeah.
So just going through it in the area around, you still had in Class 4A, you had West Plains defeating Clint, and that was also a sweep in that respect. In Class 5A, you had Abilene defeating Hanks, and this is again a Hanks team that uh, had an awesome year in their district. They really
Mhm.
kind of ran their district and got past the uh, by district round
Mhm.
and actually took Abilene to 5 sets.
I
So
was
this
about
game,
to say,
yeah,
yeah.
this game went the distance. Unfortunately, they lost that last set 16-15. I'm sorry, 6-15, and
Mhm.
they just ran out a little bit of gas. But that that's a team that's right there, and I'm sure they're disappointed with the way that ended. But
Mhm.
sometimes that's the way it goes. Uh, I do know, Hanks actually was playing without one of their players,
Mhm.
who actually transferred. She was a basketball player as well, which we might get into later.
Yeah.
But she transferred to, I believe it was Lubbock Monterey, so
Oh, wow.
mid-season. So, and one of their better players, so that might have hurt a little bit too.
Yeah.
You had Lubbock Cooper defeating Burgess, and that was a pretty, tough Burgess squad that we've been seeing all year,
Mhm.
and that they swept Burgess as well. And Amarillo High defeated Jeff, and I believe that game was in 4 sets. But again, at least Jeff was able to get one away.
Mhm.
In Class 6A, you had and of course these are the ones that advanced because I can't remember which was the 6A school that did not advance from first
Mhm.
round. Might have been Pebble Hills. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But you had Keller defeating Eastwood in 3 sets. You had Boswell defeating Franklin in 3 sets, and then the one that everybody kind of was going for all year long because they had really kind of showed that they were the class of the city
Yeah.
was the Coronado Thunderbirds volleyball team,
Mhm.
and they unfortunately had an area round meeting with Byron Nelson. They lost in 3 sets. Two of those sets, though, man, 28-26
I
went
know,
into
man.
extra points. And then the last set, 25-23. Those are 2 sets that you think if they go the other way and Coronado gets that first set and that third
Yeah.
set, maybe we're talking
You
a
know.
different situation and they're competing in
Mhm.
the next round. But unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way it goes. And
Mhm.
at the moment, that's the reason why I saved it for last. But you had El Paso High
Yes, sir. The
actually
Tigers.
defeating, yeah, they defeated Abilene Wiley. And you know what's funny about this too is the area around Paso High defeats Abilene Wiley in 5 sets. So again, this one's one
Mhm.
of those that went down to the wire. Fifth set ends 15-8. So again, El Paso High, had the luxury of sweeping their entire district for most of the year, but once you start playing that tough competition, it's let's
Yeah.
see what you're really made of. And the football team's gonna have to do the same thing because this week
Right?
they
I
play the
was
same
about
opponents. So
yes.
we'll see what
But
they
see,
gotta do.
the thing about
And
the El Paso girls is though that the volleyball is they are really, really good. They've
mhm,
swept all year long. And a lot of people like to say, "Well, they swept all these El Paso teams." Well, they're proving it again. They're proving it like, hey, we're gonna make a run for it. We're gonna make a run into these playoffs, and it doesn't matter that we swept all these El Paso teams. But don't
And,
take away anything away from these El Paso teams. They're all in the area around with them as well. They may not have gotten to the next level, but I mean, look at Hanks. Took it to 5 sets. I mean, like you said, goes one little notch the other way, and we're looking at 3 or 4 teams moving on.
and we look at it. So this is their matchup. So you got the El Paso
Mhm.
Tigers 33-7 versus the Abilene Eagles 18-21. Tigers coming off that win against Abilene Wiley. And if you think about it, this was El Paso High beating, I believe it would have been one of the lower seeds, right? From the that
Yes.
district. Same thing on the opposite end. Hanks was playing Abilene, which I'm assuming Abilene, since Hanks was the 1 seed,
Mhm.
Abilene was probably one of the lower seeds going into this, and Abilene took him to 5 sets.
Mhm.
I Can you recall, did El Paso High and Hanks play at all this year? I don't know if you can look that up real quick, but
Ooh, let me look it up real quick, but
yeah.
I'm
So
not
going
I
into
don't
it, like, I'm
remember off
just
the top of my
curious because now you have that common opponent between them. Yeah, so look it up and see if El Paso High and Hanks ever played.
Yeah,
But in
that
respect
would
to
have been
that,
something to see
mhm,
if
be,
Hanks would have
be,
won.
yeah, because what I'm thinking is, at least from what I've seen all year, I feel like Hanks was the top class of district. Was it 158, the big school division, and
Mhm.
El Paso High was the top of the class. But I kind of feel like El Paso High was the best 5A team in the city, which
Oh,
I think,
definitely, without a doubt.
yeah, and I think they would have taken Hanks, to be honest with you. So when I'm looking at this, is I'm thinking, well, I'm trying to, not that I hate to be that one that does the losers math, but Hanks took these guys to 5 sets. It was right there. Uh, doesn't look like they are maybe the toughest matchup.
Mhm.
Sometimes in the playoffs, you got to get lucky, and it's the luck of the draw with who you get. But the El
They
Paso
did.
Tiger.
They did. So El Paso High did play Hanks, and they beat them 3 sets to 1.
Okay, so
Mhm. And
probably
it was
earlier on.
in a neutral tournament. It was in a
Okay,
tournament. It looked like
s-
at the oh yeah, okay, so it looks like at the timing of this tournament, it looked like it was for the championship of that tournament.
okay, so see, there you go.
Mhm.
You had them playing the championship. It looks like El Paso I handled Hanks a little bit
Probably
easier.
that's
So you know what? I would not, go out on a limb here to say that El Paso High's got a very good chance in this one to advance.
oh, okay.
Advance past the regional quarters.
Yeah.
And if they get that win, they're going to face the winner between Grapevine and Birdville. So you're going to
So
obviously be meeting a Dallas Fort Worth team after that.
you know what? So hopefully El Paso High does because I'm looking at this schedule, Ryan. I'm
Hmm.
looking back at it. So it looks like they were in a tournament probably in New Mexico
Hmm.
because the day before they lost to Las Cruces, El Paso High did,
Hmm.
and they lost to Las Cruces 3 sets to 0. They got swept, and then the following morning, they got swept again by Centennial 3 sets to 0, and then later that day at 1 o'clock is when they played Hanks. So I guess it was a consolation game.
Hmm.
Uh, they just took their frustrations out on Hanks, and they won 3 sets to 1 over Hanks in that one. And after that, they just went on a tear, and they did not lose until oh, and that's one thing I was gonna bring up. I'm glad
Hmm.
you had me look up the schedule. So our top 2 teams in El Paso were El Paso
Coronado
High
and El Paso.
and Coronado. On the 28th of October, I remember seeing that they ended up getting I guess you could say, impromptu
Yeah, oh yeah, I saw that
matchup,
where they got a
and
like a prep match for both
Coronado
of them.
Coronado took it to them 3 sets
Hmm.
to 0. And so hopefully, if the trend continues and El Paso High stays consistent,
Hmm.
right after that, they swept Horizon. They beat Abilene Wiley. Now they got Abilene.
Hmm.
When they got
And again,
swept by those 2 New Mexico teams, they just went on a tear. So
yeah.
hopefully,
Well, and I just,
they'll
I'm
keep
just
it going.
going by stats and stuff, and I feel like this is a really winnable game for
Mhm.
the Tigers. I mean, you've got sh- plenty of players, Marisol Vanuelos, you got Zawang, you got Yulana, Juliana Favela, Hannah Garcia, Maddie McGuire. There's just so much talent on
Mhm.
this Hanks team. So much young talent too that's going to be
El Paso.
returning as well. So they got El Paso Tigers, yeah. So much young talent that's going to be returning, and something that they can definitely build on. But I feel this is a winnable game, and I would not be shocked to see them playing on Friday as well against the winner of the Grapevine Birdville game. So shout
So
out to
this
them.
so this one is gonna be the
Regional quarterfinals.
regional quarterfinals, right?
Hmm.
And
Then
then
it's regional
the
semis.
okay, okay. I thought that
Hmm.
okay. All right. Now I get you. I get you.
Hmm.
Okay. Hmm.
So we'll see. Best of luck to you, ladies out there, and show up, ball out, get noticed.
Yes, sir. Good luck, El Paso Tigers.
And again, don't I didn't have a whole lot to say. And we could go back real good. Not a whole lot to say, but you can give a shout out to all the volleyball players, that did well. You could name, Caroline Mann, Jordan
Mm.
Imperial, Leslie Mojica. You had, at least I'm just naming girls off the top of my head, Jerry, that ones that we continue to hear, you know, all year long. I'm sorry, the one from Mountwood.
Oh, wow. I'm drawing a blank too. Wow.
That
We've heard so
that's
many names that it just
and you know what? And she even just got an offer. I want to say
yeah.
fairly recently.
Is it Madeline?
No.
I have no idea why I'm drawing a blank here.
I
I
don't know why either. I'm gonna look it up real quick because I want to
Yeah,
give her her
that's what I was doing
her.
too. Because she deserves a shout out. Why it's
Uh, uh,
you're gonna say it and I'm gonna yell.
Let me look. I mean, well, until then, let me read out
Yeah,
some other popular names. Another one from we had Daniela Varela, Hasia Rubicalva from Eastwood, Victoria Bailey. She actually was the newcomer of the year, and I think she was out of Franklin. Other players, Ashley Macias, and the one I was thinking of was Kennedy Garcia, one of the ones that we saw
Kennedy
yeah,
Garcia.
week in and
Yes.
week out. We constantly saw her doing her thing. Um, on our soaring seven. So what? Big shout out to all these girls that did their thing. Some of these girls moving on to basketball already, so good for them. You'll see some of the names that I mentioned again right now later on in the show. We talk about players to watch, but yeah, that kind of concludes. It doesn't completely conclude because you still
No.
got one team in it, but
Oh
for the
yeah,
most
and we're
part,
still gonna talk. We're still
yeah,
gonna talk a lot about this one team, but like you said, like
con-
congrats, and it's not officially the end, but it's another little milestone.
mhm.
It's the first time I've ever followed volleyball also
And it
as
was fun.
well.
It was a fun trip.
Oh yeah, it's a
Uh,
lot of fun, and I really want to catch some games next year. You definitely.
Now getting into it, football. We got our sponsors for the football segment. Raise up the bar and Peach Waves frozen yogurt and gelato 915. You want that
Mm-mm.
dessert? Go ahead and get that pump at the gym. Raise up the bar and then go ahead and get some frozen yogurt right
Hey,
after.
hey, it evens out, man. You burn off the calories, you gain the calories. You gotta
Those are good calories, though. I think,
balance.
right? Like
It's a
yogurt's
balance.
supposed to be like healthy, isn't it? I think. I
Life
don't know.
is
I
a
don't.
balance. I mean, that's what I've heard. That's at least that's the lie I tell myself.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm talking about eating healthy, yet I'm here at Village Inn with some pie. It's
Hey, it's the same thing as I say about my clothes. They just, you know what? The clothes just shrunk on me. That's all it was, you know?
yeah. So let's go to the next slide because all we really have is the
Mhm.
matchups, and then we could give our thoughts on the season. So, a lot of playoff matchups, and
Yes.
actually for some reason, and I will give a playoff information to this game as well. But we'll go through the whole list real quick, and we'll give our
Mhm.
predictions, and then we'll go ahead and give any closing notes to the season. Um, just to keep everybody informed, I'm sure most people already know, but if you don't, this is the first year that El
Mhm.
Paso could potentially be done in the playoffs in week one.
If
You
everything goes horribly
wrong.
wrong,
I
we
mean,
will have our football season end by Saturday.
Yes, it's
Not
not
want that
something
to
obviously
happen.
we're hoping for, but it's the reality of it
Yes.
now. We were
Yeah.
blessed many years where we would have to compete at least for the by district round against crosstown
Hmm.
opponents. Fortunately, the way the districts are lined up this year, that's not going to be how it goes. But we'll run down through the opponents and the games, and we'll just we'll go
Hmm.
through all of them. A lot of Thursday games, a lot of Friday games. So we'll go through the first one. You got the Andrews Mustangs and the Austin
Mm,
Panthers, man. Austin Panthers, good program. Started off a little shaky, but ended up the year pretty damn good.
yeah.
Uh, they tested themselves against Riverside, and for a half of football, they were right there with them. It's just like I told you all year long. Once Riverside gets one or two of their players going, it's
Hmm.
it's just hard to keep up with them, and they were playing good for a half before the wheels fell off, and
See,
that was probably the only district loss I think Austin faced this year.
yes, was Riverside.
Mhm.
The only thing, the thing about Austin though is one thing they've done all great all year long, and we saw it first time when they took on El Paso High. Once again, remember, Paso High is not in Austin district anymore, so that rivalry is just
Mhm.
literally for bragging rights. Austin has done a great job all year of ball control,
Mhm.
and they have that ball for so many minutes of the game. The games that they have lost is when that uh the time of possession ends up going
Yeah,
down on them.
I mean that's Pichardo's
So
thing,
I
but
mean,
unfortunately, what
mhm,
Austin is not good at is playing from behind. And
exactly,
against the Andrews
exactly.
Mustangs, I feel like this is a team that's going to have a high-powered offense, is going to score, and it's going to score quick. And unfortunately, if that score goes, 10 to 14-0 early on in
Mhm.
the first quarter, that right there to me is going to be the demise of the Austin Panthers
Oh
because
yeah.
I don't feel like they're the type of team that's going to come from behind and chip away and end up beating opponents. And unfortunately, I see Austin's season ending this Thursday night
Yes.
against the Andrews Mustangs.
As do I, unfortunately. Like you said, Andrews is one of those teams that just likes to get up early on you as quick as they can. And once they do that, there's no looking back. And like you said, Austin does not do well from behind. Um,
And we got to remember too. So this is our region's second place team. Sorry, our district second place team. So they would be
yes,
playing the third place team
yes.
of their
So
district,
Andrews is
which
the third place team out of their
mhm,
district.
but I
Yes.
do feel like that's a tougher district,
Mhm.
so I'm going
But
Andrews Mustangs.
also another thing of note for those of you that do know how the playoff formats do work and how they've worked in the past. So now the 4A divisions, the 4A classifications, they do not host a game. It is
Nope.
all neutral from the get go. The ones that do host are your 5As and your 6As, but 4A on down, they do not host. They meet at a neutral site. I believe Austin and Andrews are going to be at Sol Ross.
You can host, but it's got to be mutually agreed upon on a coin flip
That's right.
in
Yes,
four
got
in
to be
four A.
yes. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. So,
Yeah, they'll take the neutral site.
so they will be playing this game at Sol Ross, I believe. So
Hmm.
that's going to be a nice little trip for them. But like you said, that ball control. If they're able to keep that ball away from Andrews, who knows? But still, it doesn't look good
Hmm.
for the Austin Panthers.
Cool. So moving on, we got the Abilene Eagles and the Del Valle Conquistadores. Our one
Hmm.
seed versus their four seed. Del Valle led by quarterback Jesse Ramos, who's had a stellar year all year long. Talk about consistency. This kid has been on fire. Abilene, as we know, is always a tough team. But you know what? I'm gonna go with the home team this year. This time, I'm gonna say Del Valle gets it done. I do think it'll be a damn close game, but I just feel like Jesse's been on a roll all year long, and the only problem I feel like is they haven't really been tested except for Pebble Hills this year. So that's the
Hmm.
only one thing that I think could make things difficult. But I feel like they can get it done. They seem to be playing their best football right now, and I'm gonna say Del Valle takes this one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree on that one. I'm gonna go hometown favorite there. Abilene has always been tough, great, great football program out there. But I think what's gonna hurt them a little bit is the traveling. They do got to travel all the way over here. Abilene's what, about 6.5 hours away,
Mm-hmm.
7 hours away or so. So that it's going to be a long bus ride. I seriously doubt they're going to fly out here. It's going to be a long bus ride to get over here. They're going to have to stay the night. They're going to have to adjust to all of that. And you and I know that's an adjustment for a football
Mm-hmm.
team, especially in the high school level for playoffs. And then it's a 5 o'clock kickoff on a Thursday. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one. Hopefully, Del Valle pulls it out and stays strong, and they move on.
Cool. Next up, you got Abilene Cooper Cougars versus the Andrews Eagles. And I'm not gonna go too much into these. 'Cause I don't want to get too long on this, but the Eagles, I
Yeah,
don't feel um were as consistent as they should have been this year. They got Malcolm Anderson, they got Elias Duncan, but I've seen them play a couple of times, and against lesser opponents, I've seen them kind of struggle. Cougars is a different beast, and unfortunately, I don't see them getting by them. So I'm gonna say Abilene Cougars take out the Andrews Eagles in this one.
I agree. Travel or no travel, even though Andrews is hosting, time whatever. Andrews, unfortunately, they have not shown
Hmm.
me that they are that powerhouse.
Definitely.
Hmm.
El Paso High Tigers versus the Wiley Bulldogs, and a shout out to El
Hmm.
Paso High. They had to deal with a bunch of injuries, but they still managed to get into the playoffs. Fortunately, they'll be meeting a very tough Wiley Bulldog
Yes.
team. You got to remember, the Paso High Tigers finished fourth, and this is the first place team in that district. So,
Hmm.
uh, going to be a tough test, and I don't see the Tigers getting out of this one. Say all Bulldogs all the way on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Abilene Wiley as well. It's gonna be tough for El Paso High to travel and compete, and let alone do it with a very, very wounded team. Just
Exactly. Mountain View Lobos and Seminole Indians, which just kind of confused me because everything that I was hearing was that Mountain View was not getting into the playoffs because of
so
them not getting an 8-point victory, is what I thought they were saying.
so let me
So
explain this
what
because
happened? Because
this is what happened, and it was clarified on the radio actually
mm,
on Football Friday nights. So originally, what we thought the way they go by a point system a little bit, right? And Mountain View was +5,
mhm,
and Clint was -13. Okay, when they did their tiebreakers and they did all of that after the point systems, when it came down to the very end, what we thought was happening was the head to head is what counted as far as what the point differential was. And so that's why it was going to be that Mountain View needed to win by at least 8 points against Pecos for them to move on. If not, Clint would end up getting in
mm,
because Clint ended up beating Mountain View when Mountain View went for two for the win and didn't get it, and they lost 28-27. We come to find out that a head to head doesn't matter whatsoever in this. It doesn't matter if you won, it doesn't matter if you have the same record or whatnot, low record. It's based off of off of that point differential system. And Mountain View had the +5, and I believe Clint had the -13, which is why Mountain View got that fourth place spot, win or lose against Pecos.
okay, thanks for clarifying that because I wasn't
Yeah.
exactly sure. Either way, I don't see the Mountain View Lobos getting past this one. I'm gonna
Mhm.
say Seminole Indians in this one.
Yeah, and this is honestly a rematch from earlier in the
Yeah,
year.
that's
And
what I was saying.
so
I
and
remember it, and
Seminole really just took it to Mountain View, unfortunately, and I don't think it's gonna change anything. It's gonna be the same thing, Seminole over Mountain View.
but Jerry, at least they won't be the only 4A team that's probably going to be going through those pains. Irvin Rockets got to
Oh
go down
yes.
to, or not go down neutral site against the Brownwood Lions, and
Mm.
unfortunately, I feel like they're going to be just in tough of a showdown, and I think the Lions are going to be coming out on top on that one as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's just a great program, and you and I firsthand saw that beautiful stadium that they play out of,
Hmm.
and they earned that stadium. So I'm gonna say Brownwood Lions all day.
All right, I'll let you go ahead and cap off the next two.
All right, so we got the Franklin Cougars, who had a kind of a disappointing and towards the end of their season. We all thought that they were going to be, you know, if not one, number two, right behind Pebble Hills. Instead, what ended up happening is they had to beat El Dorado in their last game of the season to ensure their fourth place spot. If not, Americas would have taken it. As you can tell, they did to get that job done, and they did beat El Dorado. So they are your fourth place team. But unfortunately, being the fourth place team, who do you got to take on? Number one.
One.
So now they take on the Midland Legacy Rebels, and they go travel out there to Grande Communication Stadium to take those big boys on. I think it's going to be a closer game than most would think, because Franklin does have a lot of star power, firepower. It's just, I don't know, they didn't seem to be clicking towards the end of the year. So hopefully they change that all around. But I see Midland Legacy moving on
You
in
know
this
what?
one.
This is one of those coin flip games for me, man. So I feel like it could definitely go either way. But just to be, devil's advocate, I'm gonna go Franklin
Mhm.
Cougars on this one. And
There
again,
you go.
I think it's gonna be one of those usual 6A games, high scoring,
Uh,
42-41 games or
and,
something. And
and the thing about it, Ryan, also is, back in the day, if the moment a El Paso team was playing one of these Panhandle
Mhm.
or Odessa Midland area teams, we couldn't compete. I mean,
Yeah,
freaking,
you
we
didn't
had
even think
Friday
about
Night
it. It
Lights
was
movie on Permian. They were powerhouses. Now we compete. Now we're beating those guys
yeah,
every
it
year.
used to be where we didn't
So.
think about it. Now you have
Mhm.
to think about it.
Exactly. So now, I can take that. I'm going Midland Legacy. You're going with Franklin. So we'll see. Let's see who gets that win there. Moving on, we got Canutillo Eagles, who are your champs. Number one, take out the fourth place team, the Palo Duro Dons.
I'm a
Canutillo,
little
luckily,
palo duro.
Palo Duro. I can't talk right now.
Duro.
They get to host them on the Smurf turf. So that's what's good for Canutillo. Palo Duro has to travel down here on a Thursday. I think just like in the case of Valle, Canutillo does have a bit of an edge here. Palo Duro, though, is a good football program. They year in year out, they are really good. I think last year a lot of people had Chapin beating them, and it just came down to the wire. Um, so I'm gonna go Canutillo on this one, though. I think Canutillo can pull it off in the home.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. I don't think personally I don't even think it's gonna be that close, to be honest with you. I think Cantillo is gonna run away with this one in one of their easier games. So
Yeah.
hopefully, they prove me right in that one.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go into the next game just because it's not listed here. For some reason, this is the only game that ScoreStream would not list. I don't know why
Hmm.
it's not reading the game, but it's the final Thursday night game. And this is going to be the Riverside Rangers versus the Big Springs Steers. This one's going to be
Oh yeah, I
played
was about to say I didn't see him.
in
Okay.
Fort Stockton. It's a rematch of the by district. Sorry, but of the area round from last year, because you got to remember that they had to play. Um, or I'm sorry, what was it the area or was it the? Well, it was a rematch
Mm.
from playoffs last year. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
leave it. Yeah, sorry, it was a by district round last year, and Riverside ran away with that one 34-7 last year, and I feel like their offense is clicking even more. This year they got to go up against this high-powered offense. I feel like this one's going to be an easy one for the Rangers. You know, 34-7 victory last year. I think this is a slightly better team than last season, and uh, fortunately for Big Springs, they just happen to play our first place team, and we happen to be a pretty good first place team this year.
Oh yeah, and I think Riverside's way better than they were last year, honestly.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna take Riverside as well, and yeah, that's weird that it doesn't have it listed here, but yeah, Riverside, it has things rolling, and they've already gotten a taste of getting their, you know, getting knocked on their ass a little bit earlier on in the season, and their only loss in the season. Um, so hopefully, that gives them the experience they need to make a run in these playoffs,
Hmm.
starting with Big Spring.
Right. Down on the list on Friday night's games, you
Yes,
got
sir.
I guess you could say the matinee game. You got the Permian Panthers and the Pebble Hill Spartans, and that game's going to be at the SAC at 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Permian Panthers, historic program, always does well. Pebble Hills, our number one team, kind of clicking on all cylinders right now. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw this out there that I think Pebble Hill Spartans are gonna get that victory. I think it's their first district title or
Yes.
share of district title, if you what might
Hmm.
I say,
Yeah,
share
that's
of
yeah,
district title, and also I think they're gonna probably come away with their first area title. Or I don't
yeah.
know if it's their first area, but yeah, an
Yeah,
by district title. Sorry.
I just yeah. I think so too. I think Pebble Hills can take on the Permian Panthers. Panthers. Like we said earlier, these Odessa teams aren't as powerful as what they used to be. Either that or El Paso, we've just come up so well in football, and I believe that too. We have a lot of skill, so I think Pebble Hills could take this on. And even though it's at 4 p.m. on a Friday, it is Veterans Day, and schools are out. A lot of people have the day
Oh
off, so
no, I don't.
hopefully
I
we can
don't.
get a
Unfortunately, I don't have it
yeah.
off, man. So I
I
don't know.
I have that off, so I'm gonna see. Maybe I might be able to go catch a little bit of that game, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully we get a good crowd at this
Hmm.
game.
Another matchup at 4:30. This one, East Lake Falcons versus the Friendship Tigers. Opponent I'm familiar with in the playoffs because I played them in high school, and that was a tough one.
Yeah,
Friendship always has a tough team. East Lake had a pretty good team, but you know what? They really got it handed to them by the Eastwood Troopers last
yeah.
week, and um, I just feel like defensively they're stout. Offensively, there's a lot they still need to figure out, and
Mhm.
it's a little too late at this point in the year. I feel like Friendship Tigers are going to take this one.
Yeah, Friendship has established themselves as a 6A power. Doesn't matter that they got second in their district; they're still a powerhouse, and that's a very very good district that
Hmm.
they're part of. So yeah, I'm gonna say Friendship Tigers over East Lake. East Lake's defense is good, and defense wins games, but your offense still got to do something. I don't see their offense doing something against Friendship.
Exactly. Another team that's going to be hard pressed is going to be the Isleta Indians, man.
Oh,
Isleta Indians, they fought, battled, and got that last playoff seed, but they're going to have to face the Amarillo Tascosa
hmm
Rebels, and those Rebels always come to El Paso looking to hunt, and they've taken care of
hmm
opponents. I mean, I think they made it all the way like to the state finals or something
I
last
was
year.
I was
So
gonna say
this is definitely
they
going to be a
are
game that's going to be, uh, you know, I feel like you're going to be one of those where you see the starters
sit
probably
down
leaving
in
at
the
halftime.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna grade Tascosa all over Isleta. Yeah, because Tascosa is one of your state contenders right now, your state championship contenders. They are on the board to be looked at in the semifinals, possibly down there in Arlington come state championship time. I wouldn't doubt it. Them and another team we're going to talk about in a little bit, are looking to make a big run all the way to the state title. And yeah, Isleta just has not. They barely got into the playoffs, and unfortunately that's the luck of the draw.
It's kind of hard to say, but I kind of feel like in 5A, it's just going to be really tough all around. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm looking at the next four matchups, man. Chapin
Mhm.
against Ryder, the Ryder Raiders, Amarillo Sandys against the Parkland Matadors, Bel Air Highlanders against the Lubbock Cooper Pirates. All of those are going to be extremely tough games.
Yep,
I
yep, yep.
can't see Chapin getting past the Raiders from
Me neither.
Richard Falls Ryder. Bel Air, they had a very easy schedule this year that got them those wins. But look what happened when they played quality opponents in Parkland and
Mhm.
Denlaya. Couldn't get it done. Lubbock Cooper, I think, is going to be all over them. The only one that I think may have a slight chance is going to be Parkland against the Amarillo Sandys. Just luck of the draw. And again, I still think Amarillo's got a tough team, but I feel like that one's the one that maybe could be a little bit close. But
Mhm.
aside from that, I feel like their districts are gonna kind of overtake us when it comes to 5A in this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then that other team that I was talking about that's looking to make a run all the way to the state championship is the Lubbock Cooper Pirates. I mean, those guys have been good. It's kind of funny. We were talking about the Odessa Midland area being the powerhouse. I feel that El Paso, we've been able to compete with them a lot better, but now that power has kind of shifted into the Texas Panhandle for
Hmm.
West Texas football. And the Panhandle has been coming out with some great football programs, making great runs and state title contentions with Tascosa and the Lubbock Cooper. And I agree with you on all that. I don't see
It's
Huskies moving
just
on. Parkland has the only advantage just because they're at home against Amarillo,
don't know how
but
much of an advantage that is, but hey,
mhm.
it's
But see, the thing
uh
about it is the one thing about the Odessa and Panhandle areas, they travel pretty well.
oh yeah.
Abilene and them, that's a little different story because it's a little farther. But Panhandle and Odessa Midland, it's a little bit of a drive, but it's also not, it's not unheard of for
Hmm.
them to do that.
Then you got
Um,
you got the Bowie Bears and the
mhm.
Lubbock Estacado Matadors, and
Yep.
unfortunately, this is a tough matchup for the Bowie Bears too,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Lubbock Estacado, good program. Bowie Bears is one of those that was that they finished third place in the 4A
Hmm.
district, and unfortunately, they got a tough road ahead that I can't see them climbing over this mountain on this one.
Yeah, I don't see that either. Tough road. Bowie ended the year off kind of strong, but I think it's gonna end right here. So yeah, I got the Matadors of Estacado
Hmm.
going,
And then
and
and then finally you've got your 6A share of
and,
the district title.
and I'm
Uh,
excited for this one,
yeah,
honestly.
this one's gonna be a fun one, man. The
Yes.
Eastwood Troopers against the San Angelo Central Bobcats. Uh, you know, El Paso teams have always been playing San Angelo Central recently. Really
Hmm.
close, high scoring games. It's always high scoring games
Oh
against
yeah.
these guys. And what better team to go up against than a high scoring offense in the Eastwood Troopers? Um, but
Yeah.
Eastwood Troopers have been here before. They
Hmm.
are battle tested. They've played some tough competition all year long, and right now it seems like they're clicking on all cylinders. This is one of those that I feel like could be a coin toss game, but I'm gonna give it to the Troopers in this one and say that they
Hmm.
come out in a high scoring affair
You
and get
know,
the win.
I honestly think right now, the way the playoffs are made and the the luck that Eastwood drew in where their
Yeah,
positioning of the playoffs, I feel that they have a good chance of winning 2 or 3 playoff games. They make a run in it, and who knows, potentially maybe get a rematch against South Lake Carroll because that's where it might end up.
mm-hmm.
Um, Against South Lake Carroll, you remember there was 14-0 at half, or no, 14 or 28-14, something like that. They were in
Yeah,
the game at halftime. They were
before
still
that, yeah.
within reach, and then in the second half is where South Lake Carroll kind of ran away with
Mm,
it.
South Lake
If
Carroll
Eastwood,
psych. South Lake Carroll them.
yeah, pretty much. And if Eastwood's able to kind of get that going and keep it together the whole game, I think they can make a run. So I think, yeah, Eastwood over San Angelo Central, and I've seen San Angelo Central. They're not pushovers, but we match up well, so that's gonna be good.
So that does it, man. That kind of wraps up our playoff
Mhm.
predictions preview. Now I guess it's just what do you feel, man? How did you think this football season went out? I mean, you want me to go first, or you want to give me your notes or
You know what? I,
opinions?
I mean, I'll go real quick right now. I mean, just like I think it was a great season. I think we saw a lot of great talent. We saw some like we said at the beginning of the season, we saw guys show up that we didn't expect to show up, and then we saw guys kind of struggle a little bit because they had that name behind them, but then they kind of got things going. People, I mean, just and that's the thing about every single season is you have sometimes. I mean, look at El Paso High; they were on a roll, and then boom, injuries just killed them. And then, but then they got those guys back, and now they're in the playoffs. Then you got teams like Bel Air, who no one thought they'd be going undefeated all year long. So I think it was just a great season all around. I think I look forward to next year for all these teams to really come back and be strong. We're looking forward to the playoffs. Hopefully we get more teams than what we're predicting here. I think, the teams that do move forward do have a good, and Eastwood has that good chance. And, I mean, I hopefully also the whole point of this is to get guys noticed, see who SPGs out there, shows up, balls out, gets noticed, and we get more commitments to big
Yeah,
schools. You know.
yeah, man. You know what? I'm just gonna go off of what you said too, man, because a lot of it I agree. It was crazy football season. In 6A, it was one of those week in and week out. It was exciting. Everybody,
Hmm.
all the talk was on Pebble Hills. Is someone going to take them out? Is someone going to take them out? And then you had all these weird games. Mountwood shows up one week, and then America shows up one week, and then Eastwood, where were they? And then East Lake. So it just 6A was fun to watch week in and week out. It was always one of those you never know what was going to happen.
Hmm.
Franklin, doing their thing. Um, in 5A, you had, I think, the districts were a little more easier to predict, if
Hmm.
you will. In 5A, in the district with Canutillo, you had the super tired star talent and LJ Martin, so everybody's expecting him to do big things. Um, you had D1 talent in Andres. You had situations with Chapin losing their starting quarterback, finding a hot shot of a kid in freshman Davion Singleton, who really
Understood.
just showed up, balled out, got noticed as a freshman, and did his thing, and really kept them alive. Because for a while we were kind of wondering, oh, is Chapin really gonna? But you know what? He took over, and they've been getting it done.
Hmm.
The other district, you had Hanks that was surprisingly looking like a better Hanks team in the beginning of the year, and then I know they had some injuries, and that changed things for them. El Paso High started great, had injuries. It's a season's a long time, man, and there's a lot of things that can happen, and a lot of these teams had to face adversity. Some got out of it, some didn't, but overall it was exciting. Del Valle was a team that impressed me. It was a team I was
Hmm.
not expecting to be as good as they were. Then you had some teams that kind of disappointed me. Parkland I was expecting to be better than they were, and that wasn't what I was expecting. Team that I liked watching this year. I feel like they're just right a step away from getting into a contender, or two teams, might I say. Uh El Dorado and Coronado, man.
Oh yeah.
Uh, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
Coronado, one of those teams that was not, for a couple of past years, always like down at the bottom with
Hmm.
Socorro. And again, they were still at the bottom this year, but this year they were competitive.
Hmm.
They were competitive with teams. It wasn't always blowouts. They beat Mountwood. They showed that they're right there. Coach Mike Price doing what he's got to do, and great turnaround for them. And then El Dorado, you have the Estrada brothers, and you have Ryan Estrada doing his thing as a freshman, getting an
Hmm.
offer already, a D1 offer. So, this is his team for the next 3 years, and
Yeah.
seeing what he does and what offers he brings in, that's going to be exciting. In 4A, unfortunately, in the small school 4A, you didn't get to see too much of them because they had to play, the likes of Monahans, Fort Stockton, Pecos, and it's one of those years that it's kind of like, hey, look at of that district, only one team in the El Paso area made it in the playoffs, Mountain View.
Yeah.
You got Clint going home. You got uh Fabian's going home.
Ravens. Hmm.
Yeah, so it's just kind of one of those unfortunate things that you're only going to
Hmm.
get one team. And then in the big school 4A division, you had uh like a
Riverside.
battle for the bottom two, between Bowie,
Yeah.
Sanelli, and Irvin. And then you had the top of it between Riverside and Austin, but it really Riverside obviously proved all year long they were the class of that
Hmm.
district and really didn't didn't make it unheard of. So it's been exciting football, man. Exciting playoffs. It's unfortunate that it's going to be ending in a week or two, or
Hmm.
unless one of these teams make a big run.
Hopefully.
But
Yeah.
but congrats to all these players. Good luck to the players that are selected to the Great El Paso Football Showcase. So obviously we'll be
Definitely.
out to support that. And then, when that showcase comes, you guys need to really go out there. You seniors, if you're looking to play ball,
Hmm.
go to the showcase, go to the combine,
Yeah.
work your ass off and get noticed. Guys, this is the time in your recruitment. If you guys haven't already filled out 100 recruiting questionnaires for some of these schools, and you and I both know as ex-coaches, man, we used to have our
Yeah.
players doing, like 20 or 30 of these recruiting questionnaires a week,
And
targeting every NAIA school, D3,
oh
D2,
yeah.
FCS, FBS. Give yourself every opportunity, market
And
yourself,
that's
and
what
don't
that's
be lazy.
yeah. And that's one thing I was gonna say, Ryan. Sorry. That's one thing I was gonna say is that I've always said, and you've heard me say time and time again to all the kids that we used to coach, to even kids we didn't coach and that were asking questions. college football is college football. Free school is free school. So this mindset that unfortunately a lot of kids have, that it gets put into their head.
Hmm.
Yes, your goal and you want to strive to be noticed D1, but the reality of the situation is it is very, very hard unless you're an LJ Martin, unless you're a DJ, you're all these guys.
TJ
You're an
Chris, not to
Estrada,
mention
you're DJ Crash, you're the Estrada, you're these guys.
Speedy Munoz, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you got that type, but then again, that's a handful of guys out of all the football players in El Paso,
Eh,
out of all the football seniors. And we've seen guys who were not in the showcase, who were not in the all-star game, in the game itself, but they went to the combine and they got an offer.
offers,
They got
and you,
offers,
and
yeah, it's plural.
I say this every year too, because I do a lot of recruiting consultations and stuff. There's over 940 different football programs
Hmm.
in the nation that you could play for, whether that be the JUCO level, the California JUCO level, NAIA Division 1 or
Hmm.
2, Division 3, 2, 1, FCS, FBS. So many programs, and every teams are
Yeah.
always looking for players. Don't get misled with the idea that you can't, D3s and stuff don't offer
Hmm.
scholarship money. They offer scholarship money that's just in the form of academic scholarships. So that's
Yes.
what goes to tell you that you got to have your academics in order too. But
Hmm.
the recruiting game is all about how lazy you are and how not lazy you are.
Yeah.
If you fill out the recruiting questionnaires, if you take the time to send these coaches multiple emails, keep in contact with them, have your film up to date, have your social
Hmm.
medias up to date, I guarantee you can get an offer. It's just a matter of how much work are you willing to put in. And that
And
goes across all sports.
oh, definitely. And then one more thing of note as far as the colleges, the way I like to look at it, if you get offered or you're able to, let's say you feel kind of bummed out because, oh, not even a Division 3 school wanted me, or Division 2, only junior college wants me. Hey, take advantage of that, because how many? Look at yeah, locally, look at
Name of the
UTEP,
game, man.
look at
Transfer portal.
NOSU,
Name of the game.
transfer portal. Look at all of these schools. How many players are on these D1
Mm-hmm.
rosters right now? And it says JUCO transfer.
Yeah.
JUCO to me is just like 2 more years of high school.
Mm-hmm.
You get 2 more years to really, really get yourself noticed, but now you're doing it with even better players, with even
And,
better
and
talent
and at
at
the
a
end of the day,
higher
you're
level.
working. You're working
Mhm.
towards a degree. So
Exactly. Exactly.
that's all that can really be said. And that kind of really wraps up our football talk, man. And then
Oh
before
yeah.
we end this, since it's already the start of basketball season, we'll
Yes,
go ahead and give a
sir.
little bit of a preview to basketball. We're not going to go way into depth because, there's a lot of basketball to be
Mhm.
covered still. Real quickly, our basketball segment's sponsored by Chris Morales Photography and Sammy J. Espinosa, SJE Photography. Okay, basketball sponsors. We're thankful for you guys. And
Mhm.
um, just to give you guys a little heads up, we'll go with the girls first. There's a lot of girls programs, and girls have already actually started. Their
Yes.
season.
Um,
I think they played their first games this past weekend.
on
I know
Friday, I believe.
everybody. Yeah, everybody's already doing scrimmages and whatnot, but some of the games, some of the teams. The big one to look out for is Burgess High School. Man, they've got
Oh,
a
yeah.
tough squad. They've got a lot of returning players on their squad. Brianna Vargas is probably the highlight of that team, but definitely a tough team that you're going to be looking out for. Um, we don't really have a top 10 made from Prep 1 yet. We'll probably be
Mhm.
releasing that pretty soon as the games get more rolling into it. Some other teams to look out for, Andrews High School, always a
Yes.
tough team, loaded with
Always
talent.
ranked in the state.
Hmm. Always ranked in the state, or up there. Eastwood High School is always doing their thing too.
Mhm.
They've got traditionally a power team, and America's High School has got a good squad. A lot of returners from last year, a lot of players. And then if you want to give a little bit of a shout out to, let's say our private schools, or some of those programs
Mhm.
that don't get as much notice, Emmanuel Christian School, man, in the girls realm has got a pretty good program out there. Definitely one that I would say needs to be looked out for. I would think
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
That's the thing, Ryan. Is you and I know, working in that environment. Me going to a private to cathedral. the just like in any other sport, they're always not necessarily looked down upon, but looked over,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But then they come out and they always, especially in basketball, this is the one where it gets exciting for these private schools. Cathedral, Loretto, Emmanuel, all of these schools, they come out hard, they come out quick, and watch them to really be up there, possibly in our top 10 weekly and competing and beating our top tens. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a fun basketball season.
And then on the boys' side of things, you've got stellar programs. Del Valle
Hmm.
is loaded with talent. They've got some height on their basketball team this year, in seniors and even some freshman players that are actually on varsity getting some
Hmm.
playing time. So they're going to be a team that you're going to have to look out for. Canutillo Eagles in 5A, and it's surprising because normally you think the 6As but run away with
Yeah.
it. But as you and I both know, basketball's a little bit different, man. And you said it
Oh,
too.
yeah.
It's quite kind of one of those where you could kind of take classification out of, at least locally.
Hmm.
Classification doesn't necessarily mean as much. You could have 4A schools beat 6A, private schools beat 6A, like you said.
Yeah.
So it's the name of the game. Chapin. Chapin's going to be another team to look out for. And, the big story is they're going to be out their superstar, KJ Lewis, who's
Yes.
out at Duncanville doing his thing.
But
Hey, and shout out to him too, though. You know
yeah.
what? I have nothing against the kid. He respect what he had to do. Mother moved out there to Duncanville too.
Hmm.
And to be honest with you, let's be honest. What more is he going to get out of playing here in El Paso?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
No, and that's the thing. We
he,
we talked about it before, Ryan. Is
yeah,
that he's now unfortunately, the sanctions that were put onto Duncanville, they may hurt him a little bit, but that's not
he
his fault.
okay,
He's still gonna get a better
yeah,
better
but
look for
so what
college wise,
that's
you
yeah,
know?
what that's gonna hurt is gonna hurt maybe potential going to a state championship or something like
Yes.
that.
Uh-huh.
But what I think the true reasoning behind this move is I don't think he's gonna decommit anywhere. I think he is set with Arizona. Think
Mhm.
that's where he's gonna go. Great program, by the way.
Yeah, hell of a pro.
He seems all in. But what it's gonna do is he's gonna be playing against top talent to get him
Mhm.
ready for that level. You
Yeah.
know, he's Duncanville plays some of the best schools. They schedule top opponents, and you know, it was to the point where he'd play in El Paso, and yeah, they'd kick butt, but by
Mhm.
second half he'd be sitting because they'd be killing opponents, and he wouldn't play
Yeah.
a second half. Now he's going to be in games where they're going to be competitive the entire game,
Yes.
playing
Look,
some of the best players
oh,
and some of
yeah.
these AAU teams across the, that's how you get better. Play against
Yeah.
that top level talent, and I think at this point, it's just perfecting his game at this
Mhm.
point. So, nothing against him. And you know what? Even with that loss, Chapin still's got a great team,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of great players.
Oh, yeah, and like you touched on it, they're gonna play against a great I mean, we do have a great basketball following here in El Paso and basketball talent. It's just unfortunately, we're not a town that produces that D1 basketball talent like we do in football, in soccer, and in baseball. It's just unfortunately basketball is a whole different animal. And I agree with you. It's the best move that he could have done out there. A lot of people talk a lot, wanted to talk bad because he left and all this, but hey, he's looking out for himself at the end of the day. And then one little quick note, just something
Mhm.
fun to really ask. So I even mentioned this before. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he'll decommit from Arizona. Arizona's great stuff. But moving out there, and let's say he just stars line up, planets align, everything lines up, and he starts getting these Michigan State, Duke, North Carolina offers in. Do you think he'll decommit then, or you think he's still going to stick and stay with Arizona?
No, I think he sticks and stays with
He
Arizona.
stays
I
with
feel
Arizona.
I feel
Okay.
like there's a personal thing that has him connected to Arizona. So I
Hmm.
feel like regardless, I think that's why I say I feel he's gonna stick with Arizona, and that's
Hmm.
why he's gonna play this tough competition now to just get himself
Yeah.
ready for that next level, get his body ready, get his mind ready, and
All
yeah,
right. All right.
that's where I think it's gonna go.
All right.
Um, Other top programs, man, to look out for. We sit on the girls' side, but the America's boys, well coached,
Hmm.
every year consistent, always one of the top teams.
They're
They're
scrappy,
gonna be, yeah, Andress Eagles. Even though the
talented.
passing of Coach Forbes, but
Yeah.
they're still a very talented team. Uh, Harmony's got some good players out there. Like I said, there's
Hmm.
always those one or two private schools and things like that. On the girls' side, Hanks would have been up there too, but they also have a loss on theirs. I had mentioned it earlier in the volleyball team, but Jalen
Mm.
Morrison is gone from that team. She was probably one of the best, if not the best, girls player in the city, and she's out with Lubbock Monterey now,
See,
which
and I
is
think
one of the best programs in
I
high
was
school.
about to say she literally just did the same thing.
Hmm.
She went out there to build up her stock and go. And now not only is she gonna get some of the best competition across the court, she gets it every day at practice
Hmm.
because one of the top players, if not the top girls basketball player in the nation, is right there at Lubbock Monterey.
Hmm.
So she's already gonna get her hands, or she already has her hands full at
And,
practice.
and the
You know,
fun part is, man, we're gonna actually get a chance to see him play because Lubbock Monterey is
definitely.
one of the teams that was invited to the McDonald's tournament here.
Yes, so
So
that'd be real
that's gonna
real
be a
cool.
fun tournament to see
Hmm.
some top talented teams from Arizona, California. I think
I
somewhere
even
from up
saw I
like
saw
northeast.
I saw it was either New Jersey or Baltimore, something like
That's what I'm
that.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
up
I
in the
saw a team from
northeastern
up there.
area.
It was kind of random, but
Hmm.
that's pretty awesome. That's really
Yeah,
really good.
sprinkle in some Texas
Hmm.
teams and some local
Yeah.
teams. It's gonna be a
Oh
fun
yeah.
tournament. That your tournament's always great, but it's good. She's gonna Jen Morrison's gonna have kind of a little local
Hmm.
homecoming, if you will. But yeah, it's definitely good to see good programs that we're going to be looking out for. But now let's give a shout out to some of the top players coming back that we're going to get to watch in basketball this
Yeah.
year. So they really in no particular order or anything like that. We'll just kind of, yeah, we'll go kind of one by one. We could say a little bit about each of these players and go from there.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's start with the girl side, I guess, for now.
Okay.
So number one, you've got a guard out of Riverside High School, Sofia Bustillos Jr. That Bustillos family is a great family just to begin with, man. I mean, you have her sister who's playing out at Western New Mexico right now. Her brother is currently wrestling for Strayer University, I think. I forget which one, but I think it was that one. And then she's a junior, and I believe she's the leading scorer in the city. I think she was averaging 17.7 points
Hmm.
a game as a junior. Still has another year left to go, averaging 7.7 rebounds a game. Awesome player. Get ready to look out for her. Go ahead. Get the next one. We'll just go alternate.
All right. So you got Brianna Vargas out of Burgess High School, the senior, and that was another thing you had mentioned, Ryan, is that that's a team to really look out for. Girls wise, I mean, they year in year out, they're one of those top dogs, and she's gonna be, your leader of that team, especially as a senior now. And I seriously think, she's gonna continue the success with the Burgess Mustangs. So hopefully, we get to see big things out of her and the entire team, and they kind of take her lead. And it's kind of like I said about the Lubbock Monterey situation. You make yourself better and you make your teammates better by competing at practice and making the games just easy
Hmm.
to against your opponent. So I think she's that type of player that's really gonna show her teammates, hey, this is the level you got to play at, match it,
Hmm.
if
Yeah,
not
she averages
better. Hmm.
15.8 points per game, man, and 3.4 steals per game. So
Yeah.
she's got a lot in her arsenal. Another one that we mentioned all year long on the volleyball court, making that transition now to basketball. Another guard, a lot of guard heavy. Okay, there's a lot of good guards in this year's class. Leslie Mojica, senior out of Andress High School. Uh, Averaging 14.3 points per game
Mhm.
and 2.9 assists per game. Leader in, she's just an athlete all around, leader in the sport, and she's going to really try to carry this Andrews High School Eagles team. Like I
Mhm.
said, they're one of the teams that you can definitely look out for. But yeah, look out for Leslie.
Oh yeah. Uh, and also, and then moving forward, you got forward Hannah Ayala, senior out of Emmanuel Christian. We talked about, we mentioned that these private schools cannot be overlooked because they are great competitors in the world of basketball here in El Paso. They have that edge of having kids from all across the city being able to play for them. They're not kind of like stuck a little bit, but they're good. And Hannah, She is averaging 16 points per game, 16 and a half points per game. So hopefully she continues that moving forward, leading this Emmanuel Christian Warriors team. And, I mean, looking to
That
see big things out of her.
Yeah, man. And just to let you know, too, man, she's number two on the scoring list at
Hmm.
16.5 points per game. And she's the number one rebounder at 14.6 rebounds per game.
Yep.
So she obviously gets it done in the paint. Next up, you've got guard out of San Elizario High School. San Eli, always a good program out there in the 4A
Hmm.
district. And you got Audrey Hernandez, senior. Audrey Hernandez is currently averaging 3.2 assists per game and 4.1 steals per game. She's great
Hmm.
on defense. Uh, really kind of does a little bit of everything for her team. One to look out for. She's gonna kind of run that 4A district, though. I'd really look out for her.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what you want, is you want a team player there, and if you're leading an assist, you're definitely a team player.
Hmm.
Jasmine Holt,
Holt.
out of Chapin High School, senior guard. Look for, again, we're gonna say big things out of all these girls. I mean, it's just gonna be fun. Jasmine Holt, she is averaging 12.4 points per game, and she is also your leading assist at 4.8 assists per game. So I just mentioned that being a team player is big, because basketball is a team sport. You need to win as a team. You got four other players out there, and if you're the leading assist, I mean, I'd prefer to have that over the leading scorer any day, because
Mhm.
now you're involving everyone and not just yourself.
Yeah, man, that's exactly how I felt. I was that type of player. I wasn't the type that was looking to score. I was looking to pass the ball, give me 50
Mhm.
assists a game. Also, wasn't very good at basketball, so I wasn't gonna be looking to score anyway. Last on our list, definitely not least or anything like that. Again, these are just some of the players to watch. There's tons,
Mhm.
tons, tons, but we're gonna go with guard Kimberly Cruz, senior out of Canutillo High School. Canutillo, great program on both the boys
Mhm.
and the girls side. They've got a good group coming. Um, this girl, she's a senior, averaging 13.6 points a game, 2.5 assists per game. She distributes the ball, she gets it done, she'll drive in when she needs to. Uh, Overall, great player, and honestly, the entire list is a great group
Yeah.
of girls to. And again, this isn't I didn't call it our soaring seven because we don't have enough data yet to say who had these great performances or not. These are just
Yeah.
players to look out for this season and really see how the
And
things go. And also, I want to give a quick shout out to Fieldhouse Sports, man, because as you and I both know, when we're trying to dig up stats, max
yeah.
preps can only do so far. Runner, what was the one that helped you a lot with
Um,
the
not rent a
running?
cart. That's the old one. El Paso running.
Running, I
El
think.
Paso
Yeah,
running. Yeah.
you got to give a shout out to El Paso
Mhm.
Running. They really kept it up by updating their info, and we're just trying to reiterate that info and get these people's names out there, get these names out there. So Philadelphia Sports does a great job tracking stats
Mhm.
when it comes to basketball and things like that. So shout out to these guys because
Mhm.
they really help with trying to find some of these stats and things like that. And we're
Oh
struggling
yeah,
like.
definitely. And one quick note, because it just popped into my head. Canutillo High School, the girls, I believe it was against Lubbock Monterey last year. They came up just short in
Mm-hmm.
that playoff game, so they're hungry this year. They're looking. Kimberly's going to lead them, and it's going to be fun to watch. And that game was a close game. So it's hopefully they got a bad taste in their mouth, and they look to take it out on everyone this year.
Yes, sir. Now we go down to the boys' side of things, and we're gonna
Yes,
get it
sir.
kicking with guard Gio Gutierrez, senior out of Canutillo High School. Like I said, that's gonna be a great team, man. Coming out of it, they've got a lot of players. They've got multiple members on their starting five that could probably be on this list. But I tried to do my best by keeping different players from different schools. I didn't want to be five players from the same school. So
Yeah.
um, we'll go ahead and we'll where was I? Oh yeah, sorry, Gio Gutierrez,
Yeah, that
senior
was a mistake.
guard, Cantillo High School. I lose my train of thought. 16.5 points per game, 3.6 assists per game. And go ahead and I'll let
Yeah.
you take on
And
the next
then
one.
now again, another, not necessarily a private school, but also not one of your typical public schools here. You got out of Harmony Science Academy, Diego Valderrama, senior guard. Just This kid is really, really balling right now. He is third in points per game. He has 15.6 points per game, and he's leading on the defensive side on rebounds, 6.8 games. And you and I know Ryan from watching so many basketball games in person. Just tonight. UTEP was playing. Always watch UTEP. What's one of the biggest downfalls for some of these teams is rebounding, and when you got the number one rebounder on your team, just along with the assist. To me, that says a lot more than being the leading scorer. So, watch out for this kid to really do big things defensively for the Harmony Academy.
Definitely. Can you go ahead and get the next one? I'm trying to
Yeah.
look up
All
something
right.
right
Yeah.
now.
No
Sorry.
problem. Now you got Donovan Black, a forward senior out of Del Valle High School. He is averaging 13.7 points per game, and he is fifth in rebounding at 5.9 rebounds per game. So another kid that is a good shooter, a great defensive player. Again, that's what you want on your team to really just get that ball back to in your hands and give you another shot. And if you're also that shooter, that's a double threat right there. And look for, we mentioned it before, Del Valle to really do big things this year, basketball wise. And this Donovan Black here, senior, leading the charge there.
And
Uh,
then
mhm,
I'll go ahead and just real quick on the next one. You got Bryson Goldsmith, senior out of Chapin High School. Like I said, Chapin lost KJ Lewis, and now they're going to look to
mhm.
Bryson Goldsmith to be that senior captain. He had a great year last year. Obviously playing under a guy like KJ, you get a little um, light taken away from you. But this year, he's going to really be leaned upon heavy. He's quick, he's fast, elusive. He's going to be scoring points from all around the court. Really look for Bryson to help lead that Chapin team this year. Want to go ahead and take the
Yeah.
next one?
Yeah. So you
I,
got,
and I got some stats on him too. So if we're
okay. Yeah. Guard Jashawn Kennard, senior out of Parkland High School, guard. Parkland is one of those, in my opinion, sleeper teams in basketball. They compete with the likes of Andrus as one of the rivals, and Andrus, we talked about being a big team, and this kid's a leader.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Brian.
He gets it done. He scores points, man. He's averaging 11.4 points
Mhm.
per game. He's doing what he has to do. He can shoot the long ball. He can drive in. He's definitely a player that you're gonna have to look out for. Another one on the list, you got Daniel Brito, senior out of Emmanuel Christian Academy. Uh, like I had been mentioning, man, you these and like the private school kids,
Mhm.
they're not often players that we really get to notice because they don't get covered very much, but
No.
they have some good teams. Years back we saw these awesome Harmony teams coming out where they were able to, you know, build these stacked opponents, and Daniel Brito's gonna get it done on both sides of the court, offensively and defensively, and he's got what it takes to,
Oh yeah.
definitely be one worth mentioning.
And one thing on those private schools, I remember not too long ago, a few years back, well, several years back now, you had Cathedral as your number one team in the city and Faith Christian as your number two team in the city, and they were just rolling over everyone. Coronado couldn't keep up. Franklin, Andrus, not even, and those. It was fun to see. I was at Cathedral at the time, and it was fun to see those two teams battle it out that year. And Cathedral, they made a run in the playoffs that
Mhm.
year. I think I think they got to like the third or fourth round. So these private schools are no one to mess with.
Mhm.
When it comes down to basketball.
So what can you tell me about Enrique, man? Tell me a little bit about Enrique.
All right, Enrique Castro, senior out of Coronado High School, guard. What was it? Coronado again also is another one of your sleeper teams. Okay, and this kid right here, he averages 12.2 points per game and 2.1 steals per game. So he gets it done shooting, he gets it done defensively. He gets, not only is he getting it done defensively, but he gets that ball back for you defensively. So that's what, like I said, rebounding, that's what you want. Assists, that's what you want. And as a senior, this kid has been doing it. Uh, week in, week out, and so it's easy to
12.2
look
points
at.
per game, man. So he
Mhm.
can score.
Oh yeah, so
He
I
can
mean,
score.
we got a lot of good scores on this list right here, and there's
Hmm.
a lot of people on here we still haven't
You know,
mentioned. And we'll get
yeah,
to it,
actually, there's one that and part of
Mhm.
me I forgot to write the name down there. Should have been one of the first one we had mentioned, but I'm gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and throw it out there as
go ahead.
one, and
I
that's
know.
gonna be a kid out of Hanks, and that's
Yes.
senior guard Daniel Bettis. I'm sorry, I don't
Mhm.
know how I didn't get him on here, especially because he leads in lots of stat
I was
categories.
about to
But
say I saw that and I'm like, wait a
yeah,
minute.
but you know what? Yeah, Daniel Bettis, senior guard out of Hanks High School, averaging 17.7 points per game and 3.9 assists per game. Like I said, he distributes as a team player, but can carry the team when he needs to, get it done. He'll take that last shot.
Mhm.
Definitely one of the players to watch. Lots of great fun things coming out. Looking forward to that McDonald's tournament and all the
Mhm.
local tournaments. And really, you and I have worked tournaments in the past. We've worked basketball games, fun time in the season.
Yes.
So definitely going to be a fun season to cover for basketball. Obviously, we're not going to be putting out shows as often when it
Yes.
comes to basketball season, just because with the frequency of it and how many games they have, it's just, it's a lot of work to be covering. So we might be doing an episode every 2 weeks or so to cover,
Mhm.
everything that's in the
Listen up
basketball
and yeah,
season, in wrestling too, because wrestling's about to be coming
wrestling.
up. And so we'll go
Swimming
ahead and.
already started, so
Mhm,
we'll try to get those results out as well and
mhm.
get those players noticed. Um, like we said, volleyball is coming down to we got one more left. Football playoffs just started, so we'll see where we are with that. So on the next episode, we'll see who moves on, who doesn't, and I mean we'll probably be in full swing with basketball. Exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's really how it's gonna be, man. I mean, so much. Believe me, guys, podcasting is no easy joke. It takes a lot of
No.
work,
Yeah.
and obviously, we both got day jobs and everything. So, we do it as we can and stuff. So we appreciate you guys that have followed us, listened to us, and I know some of these episodes are long, and it's quite all right if you're a fan of a certain sport to skip ahead to the sports that you want to hear the
Mhm.
coverage about. Football, listen to the football section. Volleyball, listen to volleyball. Track, cross country. Listen to what you need to listen to, but hopefully you guys get something out of our podcast, whether it's
Mhm.
information about the leagues or just uh, you like our
Our
banter.
opinion.
Yeah. Once again, follow us on our social medias, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, sorry, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and
Everything.
on our YouTube page. Like and subscribe, please. The only way
Yes.
that you help get our local athletes noticed is by getting more promotion to these videos. So, thank you guys. There's a great football season, volleyball season, cross country season, and thank you guys for continuing to support and continue to support us.
Yes, sir. We love you all. What? Oh, sorry.